Hello, bookish friends. My name is Gail, and I am the Fiction Bookworm. So as you can see, I have decorated a little bit for the Christmas season. I have my stocking out for me and each of my dogs, and I'm excited to bring you day 3 of my Vlogmas posts. And today I'm going to be talking about a couple of the books that I read in November, beyond the new books that came out in November. I read 3 books that above and beyond the new releases. And so one of them was for my face-to-face book club, which I actually didn't finish that book, I'm going to confess. And then 2 of them were actually audiobooks, which is something that worked really well for me in November. I was having a little bit harder time, I think, focusing on reading, and so the audiobooks were really great. And so they were actually very similar. They were sort of my book version of catnip. They're really what I love the most, which is a dual timeline story, historical fiction, and the first one was called Secrets of a Charmed Life by Susan Meissner. She's an author that I've read a number of her books before, and she kind of specializes in this dual timeline narrative. Secrets of a Charmed Life was a little bit less of a dual timeline and a little bit more of a World War II historical fiction with a sort of modern day frame story. The modern story wasn't really a plot as much as it was just kind of a way of telling the story. But I loved the World War II story. The main gist of it was about 2 girls who are young enough that when the Blitz happens in London, that they need to leave their mom and go and live out in the country, and in order to be safe. And at the time they were evacuating children. There were, I guess, a few waves, according to the novel, of children being evacuated. And so these girls didn't evacuate sort of in the first wave, and I don't even know if they evacuated in the second wave, but when they did finally evacuate, the city wasn't really being bombed yet, and so there was a lot of concern, but there wasn't actual bombings that had occurred yet. And this leads to a really big episode in the plot where their lives change forever. And the main theme of the novel is really about choices, about our free will that we have to make choices in our life, and then how those choices affect us, even for the rest of our lives. So I really liked that theme a lot, and I enjoyed seeing it play out. It was a really good book. I've read a lot of World War II books this fall. For some reason, there seems, and even in the past few years, that's like a common subject for historical fiction, and despite having read a lot of them, I really enjoyed this book. So I do recommend it. It was really good. The second book that I also, in this one, Secrets of a Charmed Life by Susan Meissner, I listened to the audio. It was really good. It kept me interested. Good narration. I enjoyed it. So the second book I listened to in November was called The Secrets of Nanreath Hall by Alex Rickloff. And this is a book that I heard about once upon a time through the Once Upon a Book Club book box that I subscribed to. This book was a pick for probably a year before I even started subscribing. But I'd seen it on the backlist, and it came on sale one day really cheap, and so I went ahead and bought it and listened to it in November. And it is also a dual timeline story, which I love. It's historical fiction. The first timeline story is the story of a young woman who is the daughter of the family that owns Nanreath Hall. Her name is Lady Catherine, and she is a young woman just before World War I, and she doesn't like her very traditional upbringing, and she really wants to live a different kind of life involving art and freedom. And so she pursues that. And her daughter's story takes place during World War II. Her daughter is working as like a nurse or a nurse's assistant. And during the war, and she had been sick and kind of gets back to London about the time of the Blitz. And her mother passed away when she was young, and she was adopted by a family that lived in the same neighborhood as her mom in London. And she gets back and discovers that she's lost them as well in the Blitz. And she gets a new assignment as a nurse to Nanreath Hall, which is the place where she knows her mother is from. And so it's just a coincidence that she gets assigned to work there, that Nanreath Hall is sort of a convalescent hospital during World War II. And but she's going to go there, and she is going to try and learn more about her family, which she does. So the book is really the story of what happened to the mother, that she ended up being a single mother in the early 1900s, and how does the daughter adjust and learn about her new family. So it was a good story. I really liked it. I love the fact that the narration was two different narrators, because it really helped you just stay within each separate story. So it was really good. In a way, it's I guess a kind of a historical fiction version of fluff, but it does also fit along the theme that I had picked up in Secrets of a Charmed Life about choices and free will, because we really see how the mother's choice to live a non-traditional life affected the life of her daughter. So we see that play out in the two generations, which I thought was really cool. So the third book that I'm going to tell you about today is one that I attempted to read for my face-to-face book club, but did not finish, and that is called Two in the Far North, and it is by Margaret Meary. And her husband, and I think herself as well, were deeply involved in the national park system lobbies in creating a lot of our national parks. And this is a story of Margaret when she was a little girl and moved to Alaska with her family, and then met her husband there, and they also lived in the far north of Alaska. I really only got to the beginning of their married life, I think about 150 pages in to the book, so I didn't quite finish it, but it was really interesting. It reminded me a bit of the book Mrs. Mike, that is written by the Freemans, husband and wife couple, husband and wife writing team, which is a story also set in Canada's far north about a Mountie named Mike and his wife. And it's at about the same time in the early 1900s, going to live in this very remote part of the northern part of the North American continent. So that was good. I just didn't have time, and I didn't really have the focus to concentrate on a nonfiction memoir this month. So it's kind of an interesting month for reading for me. So that's what I want to share with you today. I do recommend, if you like historical fiction, World War II fiction, Secrets of a Charmed Life, and The Secrets of Nanreath Hall. Both have secrets in the title. That's really interesting. Are both really good books. I really enjoyed them. They're both books that have some hard things in them, but at the same time, are I think not quite as deep. It's something that I could just kind of play in the background and enjoy. So I hope that you will check those books out, and I hope that you continue to enjoy reading, and I'll see you in a couple of days. Thanks. Bye. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like, and be sure to subscribe to my channel. See you next time.